Hello and welcome to Rewind Review. An interesting one this week in that it was a film that if memory serves, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, it's a film that neither of us properly remembered if it was any good. Like it was, I don't think it was on either of our sort of. I owned the VHS and wore it through to the bone, and it didn't even play anymore. So neither of us have strong memories of what this film contained. So we sort of went into this. So unsure because neither of us remembered any of the specific scenes on the last podcast. So we remembered one or two set piecey bits. Like you reminded me of I remembered the nail gun, and you remembered the mouse traps. But I mean, do you remember anything beyond that before sitting down?
I didn't. I didn't, and then so I had the VHS. I remember distinctively seeing it in the cinema.
I don't think I saw this until it came to Sky Box Office, and my auntie had Sky, so whenever I go to her house, I'd watch a bunch of movies because she had access to Sky Movies or Sky Box Office, or whatever it was called.
I remember distinctively in the cinema as a young buck. I remember the opening. I remember all the string stuff and thinking, I thought this was about a mouse. And I think by that point I was already a Lee Evans fan, or maybe this made me a Lee Evans fan. I don't know that. I'd have to look at what live show he was on.
That's really funny because legitimately I couldn't remember anything about the movie beyond the mouse. So the first 20 minutes of this movie were a real surprise to me.
Well, so what was interesting?
I double-checked I was watching the right movie twice.
Oh, because of all the string stuff?
Just because of everything. It's nothing to do with the mouse for the first 20 minutes.
I know, right? What was weird was, and I'm like you, I wouldn't have said it was a VHS I wore down to the ground, but I would certainly have said I watched it a lot and enjoyed it. And like I say, right. It's a very distinctive. Mm-hmm. I remember sitting in the cinema and watching it. I remember that and Mr. Bean doing that really clearly with those two films, being the ultimate disaster movie. And I'd have to look up, but I'd be intrigued to look up when it came out in terms of Lee Evans as to what came first, chicken or the egg, Mouse Hunt or My Love of Lee Evans. But
sadly, I can only Google the release date of the film, so you're gonna have to.
What was the release date of the film?
1997.
Yeah, I think Lee Evans may have come first, maybe.
Because it is worth noting that for those who don't know, and our American listeners particularly are probably going to be more familiar with this, Lee Evans was particularly shortly after this era, or around this time, one of the biggest comedians in the UK, and remained that way up until I would say, I mean, he's still performing in arenas up until 2014 was his last one.
Well, he retired. He retired, so it didn't. It's not like it ever really went away.
But that was 2014-ish, though, wasn't it?
It was around us leaving uni, maybe just after.
Oh, 2008,
16,
2009,
17, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Later than that, I think. I don't know. We'd have to look up his.
Well, I've just clicked on it, and it looks like Big came out 2008, but it looks like he officially retired in 2014.
Yeah, Big wasn't the last one. There was Roadrunner
Live
after
at the O2.
that, and
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, Roadrunner and Monsters in 2014. So that's when he.
Yeah, that's when he retired, and right. Monsters was a huge arena tour. So he just because he's not doing it now, it wasn't. He quit at arenas, and the quality. If you're watching these along with us or something and are inspired to watch the Evans show. Any of the first four, Wired and Wonderful at Wembley is a fantastic show. His later ones are a bit... Have you ever noticed? I mean, if the chicken was ordering a pizza, it'd be ring ring, chicken wing. It's. I love Lee Evans, but the later stuff feels...
So you're recommending people find the different planets or don't try this at home, Wired and Wonderful and XL. Or do you think XL is
maybe not even XL. I wouldn't even say XL. I'd say Wired and Wonderful for me is the peak. Wired and Wonderful was a stand-up show that made me sit back and go, oh shit, that's what stand-up can be.
Right,
it was the first time I'd seen stand-up in arena. But anyway, it isn't about the M's. So,
well, no, it does. It's relevant to this because even though he may not be a face that Americans look at and go, well, that's he comes across like an unknown in this movie. But no, he was very much a big deal. He is British. It's a very, you know what? Having just watched Knives Out today, where Daniel Craig does an American accent for the entire movie, and it is hilarious but ropey as fuck. I gotta hats off to Lee Evans for his accent in this movie. It's probably the best thing about the movie, to be honest with you, because there isn't much else good to say about it.
He basically, in the way it's kind of told is he had lots of offers. So all around this time, he did Mouse Hunt. There's Something About Mary, The Fifth Element. Like, he was in some big movies and apparently had some offers.
That.
So Americans might recognize him, but he basically was like, nah, the LA thing isn't for me. So kind of came back over here and did the stand-up tours.
Didn't he do like a Jackie Chan film as well?
I can't remember which one that was. I remember a British one about like a family, but I can't remember. Yeah. But he did some movies, like, and he's great in like all of them. Like, and he could have been, I think, an international star, but he didn't want to be. And so he's a big part of my sort of memories of the movie. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I can picture the VHS, but what was fascinating to me is when we watched Space Jam, it was almost like watching it for the first time. I couldn't really remember that much.
Right.
I couldn't remember particular gags. With this, like, I was like from the off when he's like, it's the greatest black I've ever seen. I was like, shit, I can remember that. Like, I nearly said that line.
Literally,
and I just found myself like repeating stuff, and it was all flooding back to me as I watched it. And I was like, shit, I certainly, at least more than Space Jam, I watched this film. It absolutely.
We had the reverse experience then, because Space Jam, I was quoting along. I remembered all the gags and all the scenes and all the way it played out, story beat for story beat. This was like, it was like watching a brand new film. I didn't remember any of it. I remembered almost none of it. I remember the visual of them rolling around in the mousetraps. And I remember I very distinctly remember the camera angle inside the wall with the nails coming through.
Oh, like,
that's it.
Let's jump in.
That is legitimately all I remembered.
Let's jump in. Some of the cinematography in this is beautiful and like holds up. The transition between them looking in the window to them seeing the house for the first time was really nicely done. A lot of the stuff from the mouse's point of view and like scenes like that when like we're seeing it, even if it's not from the mouse's like eye perspective, we're with the mouse. A lot of that stuff is really like effective, and I was quite impressed by a lot of that.
Did you notice who directed it?
No,
it's Gore Verbinski, who directed famously the Pirates of the Caribbean films, which, for all of their flaws, visually are very well made. They're good films. They're very well constructed films. And in terms of actually, funnily enough, in terms of CGI and special effects, one of my favourite sort of special effects, full stop, has been Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He's one of the most convincingly realised sort of CGI monster people, like, because it's part practical, part special effect. So Gore Verbinski clearly has a very good eye for this, and unfortunately he didn't get that eye until later in his career, because this movie has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, CGI. Yeah, I very deliberately said cinematography. Yeah, the CGI is not great.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that in a minute, because I think he learned a very valuable lesson on this film. We'll talk about that later. But you're right. I think cinematography is actually surprisingly good. I think the set is incredible. The house itself is a very well designed set, perfect for this sort of thing. It feels old and creaky, but it feels like it has a ton of character. And as it slowly gets more and more destroyed as the movie goes on, like, you almost feel pangs every time something else gets smashed, because it's this really cool set.
Yeah.
And that again, probably, I think I have one more nice thing I can say about the movie before I run out of nice things to say. But Lee Evans is good in this. In fact, no, the cast in general are good. The visuals are very good, and there was one joke that made me laugh in the whole movie. So that is.
I'll be kinder. To clarify, the plot, as thin as it is, of the movie, is that two brothers, their dad passes away, and around the same time, one gets kicked out by his wife because he's refusing to sell the string factory his father's left to him. and one has accidentally killed the mayor, and is therefore also hard on their luck. So they end up in a house that their dad purchased that ends up being worth a lot of money. So they're trying to do up the house to sell it and make their millions. But this pesky mouse is getting in the way, and hijinks ensue. My overall thing with it, I think it didn't have me roaring with laughter. I think if you like slapstick humor, if you like Home Alone, this feels like Home Alone but with a mouse. Home Alone's probably better constructed in terms of the character beats. Again, as with Space Jam, there are plots they really could have done more with. The big problem is it's like plot development, plot, series of scenes involving a mouse, very rushed ending. That's the... Huh?
Yeah, I don't. I'm almost insulted at the Home Alone comparison, to be honest with you. Because even the slapstick isn't good. The slapstick isn't even good.
It's not as funny or well constructed as Home Alone. No.
No element of this movie matches Home Alone. It's not as funny. The characters aren't very well realized. The messaging is very confused. You never know whose side you're supposed to be fucking on. I mean, the biggest criticism anyone can label at this film is, like, there are some of these slapstick scenes, it's these two of these menaces that have come into this house, and this poor mouse is just trying to live his life. Like the bit where they show him getting cutely into his bed, and then they drive nails through it. But then there are other scenes when the mouse is basically the fucking devil, and these poor two guys are trying to... And it's like, whose side am I supposed to be on, movie? Because you don't seem to know, so I don't know how I'm supposed to fucking know. Home Alone has this really clear-cut sequence of cause and effect that... You know whose side you're supposed to be on, and when the slapstick happens and the suffering happens to those two criminals, it's weirdly satisfying because they're criminals being bested by a child. This movie, the slapstick, first of all, isn't anywhere near as cleverly constructed. It's just a thing falls on a guy, or a guy gets pulled through a thing, or like they're shooting and it's missing. Like the slapstick is horrendous in this movie. So, but not only is the slapstick bad, but it's not supported by character stuff at all. So this isn't playing the same. I mean, this is basically like, to compare this to Home Alone to me is like trying to compare two different formats. I like, they're so far from each other. I'm actually amazed that Home Alone's even come up in this conversation. Like it's. Well, incredible.
I regret it if that helps. That's what I mean by better constructed, because you're right, the character stuff absolutely influences your view on the Home Alone slapstick, and that's not the case here.
But no, but even the character stuff aside, it's the slapstick's better in Home Alone.
And the slapstick gets more and more ridiculous in here. Like, it starts off quite believable, and then reaches a point where stuff is blowing up around characters. They're being catapulted through the sky from the blast, and yet they're surviving. Like, this slapstick gets to, like, a hole is blown in the floor at one point, and they're fine. Yeah. I found it kind of difficult to the side, especially like at one point the mouse traps Christopher Walken in a trunk in the attic, and the implication is the mouse has done that to other people before, so God knows how long the mouse has been alive. And that makes it feel even more rushed at the end when they all become friends for reasons I don't quite know. But I certainly, and maybe it's nostalgia, like you with Short Circuit, and it's racist, but that's very much paraphrasing the eloquent discussion about that subject last time.
Can I point out a subtle difference though? I think Short Circuit is a pretty well made film that suffers from cultural insensitivity. I don't think this is a good film. Like, factually, I feel like, nostalgia aside, I think you saw more good in Short Circuit than I will ever see in this.
Well, that's clear, and I don't want every episode of this to become debating between the films we've watched.
No. I'm just, but you brought up Short Circuit, but I like.
No, I absolutely did. No, I absolutely did, and but just to make the point that in the way that you were like, because I think there's, like I said at the time, my bigger problem with Short Circuit is like the weird fucking robot woman sexy subplot. But in the way that you held your hands up and went, I admit I'm viewing this film with nostalgia.
Right, yeah.
I may be doing the same here. I don't think it's as egregiously bad as your review of it is. I think, if you like cartoon-esque violence and you're young, I think this is a film that appeals to the audience it's aiming for.
I don't think that's true either, though. No, I don't think that's true either. There's 20 minutes of people talking about being thrown out by their wives and losing the factory and business deals. And then even when the mouse comes into it, they keep cutting away for 10-minute sections about business deals. And I'm just like, what kid is watching this? Like enjoying it. I mean, I must have done, because I watched it as a kid. I know, but I can't imagine the average kid being that fascinated with the business side of that. I can imagine a kid fast forwarding to the good bits. That's what I can imagine a kid doing.
Mm-hmm.
Without question, because I don't even buy that kids would get completely out of this, because it's just again, I remember I checked the time, 20 minutes until the mouse shows up. I was like, my head was in my hands, just like, it's called Mouse Hunt. I don't know what you what were you thinking? Who wrote this script? Yeah. And I think as well, I don't think I would object to that 20 minutes if it was used to actually make me give a shit about these characters. The best thing they managed to do is they do, and I found another thing to slightly compliment them about, and it's not perfect, but I will say that brotherly relationship is well established. They do as much work as they can to sort that out.
Yeah, but it doesn't then get resolved. It gets resolved incredibly quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I agree with you. I think that's one thing watching it where I was like, oh, they did do that well. But they kind of, it build. The problem with that is it builds to this climax of them falling out. And then it's kind of immediately resolved without them talking about it, without them dissecting it. There's one argument and then the argument's done. Because they seemingly kill the mouse and that brings them back together. And again, more egregious than that is the fact that the mouse and those two are friends at the end. Spoilers. It certainly ramps up its ridiculousness in all fronts as the film goes on.
Because there's a bit... you know what, though? I think I could fix that one element, by the way. And I know you would maybe lose your big finale of the house imploding, but no, you wouldn't. I think what they should have done, and okay, so those who don't know, and spoilers, but I'm guessing if you're here and you've not seen the movie, you're accepting that you're going to get spoiled for this movie, because otherwise go watch it and come back. The big set piece at the end of the movie is that they think they've gotten rid of the mouse, and it comes back and disturbs the auction to sell the house, because the house is the missing LaRue. It's worth, at least $7 million. Was the last sale for a LaRue, but they think they can get more than 10. It ends up going up as high as 25 before, obviously, the mouse turns back up during the auction. Chaos ensues, and the house basically explodes because of they very quickly somehow fill up the bones of the house with water, trying to flush the mouse out, and then its structural integrity fails, and the whole thing sort of collapses on itself once everyone is out. What I think they should have done, because the reason they get rid of the mouse in quote marks is this is it's actually a nice idea, not executed brilliantly well. But there's a bit where the brothers are fighting, one throws a fruit at the other, and it actually clicks the mouse. So they've been chasing this mouse with guns and all this stuff the whole time, and then he knocks it out with an orange, and they have this chance to kill it, and they can't do it. Now, instead of being evil bastards at that point and mailing it off to fucking one of the weirdest jokes, Pablo Escobar, I'm not even sure what the thinking was there.
Yeah, well, the fact that the mouse survives that journey and the return journey, despite not getting air holes or food or anything.
There's that as well. Yeah, but let's just cartoony. I can honestly, Chris, weirdly enough, in the midst of this film, I can put that aside. That's fine. Okay, the mouse is a super mouse. It's already lived for about 100 years, according to some of the reports. It drove the guy who made. If this is the last house he made, the implication being that the guy who made it when he made it those hundreds of years ago, whatever, was driven mad by the same fucking mouse. This is some sort of super mutant alien mouse. I don't know where it came from, but it's beyond all my... So fine, it survives. When instead of sending it away, let's say they struggle to actually kill it, and then it gets away, and it remembers that they let it live. And at the end of the movie, they're still chasing it round, but it's no longer trying to destroy them, and they're their own downfall, because they're still assuming the mouse is out to ruin their lives. So they try to flush it out. You still get your big end set piece of the house imploding. And then they realise what they've done. You weren't trying to... We've done this now. This is on us. And that's when then they befriend the mouse, and the ending makes more sense. Right?
Yeah.
Does that not?
Yeah.
Does that not fix everything?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Is that what they were potentially going for? Because other than eating the string, the mouse isn't particularly fuck you when he gets back.
Oh,
They're just like,
but he's going all around the like the auction house, like getting in the hat of those ladies that are at the auction and stuff.
Getting in the boobs, which is a bizarre joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't age well.
No, it doesn't. Especially the sort of the little sub joke to that joke, which is that the other lady getting jealous that her best friend or sister, I don't know what the relationship of those two girls are, is getting fondled. She then grabs a guy's hand and sticks it down her top to try and compensate. It's awkward and weird, especially for a kids movie. So,
yeah, definitely. I remember as a kid it making me laugh. Here's something I didn't notice as a kid, and I worry on the Rewind reviews I'm going to get a bit of a reputation, but I got to ask, because where my mind went, when the lawyer, or accountant, whatever he is, goes to visit Lee Evans' wife,
yes,
is she in like a Halloween-esque... Is she meant to be an actual nurse? Is she meant to be a sexy nurse in a sexy nurse costume? And then later on, when he says hello and she says hi, and he's like smiling and she's like, it's just an expression. Is the joke meant to be that she got all the information out of him and did know beforehand? Or is the joke meant to be that they hooked up? Well,
it's both, isn't it? Isn't the idea that she's been hooking up with him and that's where she got the information?
Yeah, I think so. Well, he went to the house and he accidentally revealed the information. But I don't know if then there's if like the twinkly eyes and her being like, and a bit of a man-eater in the film because she goes off with someone else at the end. I don't know if the implication is meant to be that her and that old dude had a bit of a thing.
Yeah, that was my reading of it. Maybe I read into that too clearly. I don't know. That was my reading of it.
Well, that's weird. And let's talk about Dan.
Go on.
Huh?
Go on. No, go on. I think I know where this is going, but let's go.
Well, we got it. You can't talk about Mouse Hunt without talking about the Christopher Walken of it all.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, the performances in this movie are all good. At the most, I think... Obviously, the most sincere and genuine seeming performance is Lee Evans in this movie. But the best performance in just terms of my entertainment value, I definitely like my interest peaked more the second Christopher Walken showed up, and he held my attention thoroughly throughout all of his scenes. It's very distractingly Christopher Walken, but he is extremely funny in this movie. Like, he is.
The character might as well be called Christopher Walken.
He is, that like Saturday Night Live sketch version of Christopher Walken. They cast that. They wrote that into the script. He's great in this film. I don't know what happened to get him in this movie. I don't know whether it was there was always an exterminator character. And they happened to get lucky and cast Walken, or if they wrote it for Walken, I'm really not sure. But either way, that was like destiny. Those two things coming together. I loved it. Like, he's one of the best bits of the movie. I'm assuming you feel the same way.
Yeah, I thought he was great, and I distinctly remember Christopher Walken as well from it.
Oh, I had no memory of that. He shut up, and I was just like, why is Christopher Walken here?
But you were just like, is that Christopher Walken? Like,
he's looking very young in this, like distractingly young.
Yeah, at least they give like him a full story though. Like the scene with the cat. Where are we meant to assume the cat died? Are we meant to assume the cat gave up? Like, just ends with the cat falling. Like,
oh shit! Yeah, where did the cat go? So yeah, that's a little subplot they have. So there's of the many ways they tried to defeat this.
They're not subplots. They're literally scenes. Of...
Yeah, you're all right.
Chair collapsed.
Chris is having one of those days. Can I just add that, like, Chris, we started this phone call and Chris was just like listing off the series of unfortunate events that was his day. He's had a very unlucky day in multiple ways, and I do feel for him. And then we were having trouble. We were having trouble getting
another chair down.
Yeah, we were having trouble with the phones to get this started. And now, just to add to Chris's rough day, the chair has just collapsed. Oh dear Lord. So are you sat on a chair? Are you repositioned? Are you good? Are you away, or are we stopping? He's not in front of his mic. Okay, well I'll carry on. Oh, you poor thing. You've had a rough day. So there are multiple set pieces throughout the film. They're all about sort of 10, 15 minutes long. So they're not so much scenes as they are set pieces. And you can there's the initial them against the mouse section of the movie. Then there's they go to get a cat to sort out the mouse section of the movie. And then there's the exterminator tries to take out the mouse movie. And then there's a section. And then there's it comes back to them trying to take out the mouse. And that's the one that ends with them fighting. And the orange being thrown, taking the mouse out. And then there's the final set piece, which is in the house during the auction. Of the set pieces, I think the very first one of them trying to get the mouse is probably the best one, because it's pretty much the premise of the movie. It's before it gets too silly. It's the bajillion mousetrap sequence. It's the nail gun sequence. You know, it's got the bit where he has the cereal box. They think they've beat the mouse, but there's a hole in the cereal box and all the cereal falls out. That's pretty good as it goes. I mean, in the scope of this movie's quality, that bit is one of the better bits. I mean, good is a stretch, maybe, but like, you know, there's a lot of really there's some of the best slapstick in the movie. The most tolerable parts of the movie are that first set piece of them. The cat one is pretty horrendous because it is distractingly terrible CGI. When it's a puppet, yeah, it's okay. But, oh my god, the bit where it comes out of the box and trots off is one of the worst pieces of CGI I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's also weirdly introduced with, like, this weird, like, quarantine zone veterinary cat place that's just bizarre decisions. And that's the film, that kind of sequence is the film at its scene after scene of a mouse being hunted worst.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what is with that. What is with that weird? Like, it's the pound, right? It's like it's supposed to be the pound, but why? Yeah. Why they're all in hazmat suits?
Yeah, but just in the entrance, when you actually then get into the pound, it's scabby as anything, and I don't know if that's meant to be the joke or what's going on.
Yeah, and he's no longer wearing the hazmat suit, and the two guys are going without hazmat suits. Like that's not what they were protecting. God knows what the joke is supposed to be back there. And the joke is that they've got this cat they've nicknamed Catzilla. It's a monster of a cat. And like it's in this crate box, so you can't even see it, and it's all chained down. And then when he goes near the box like shakes, and you hear, and it's like, oh, I see, it's like a particularly vicious cat. Okay, that makes sense. But then, and that as a premise is fine until they get it back to the house, and they agitate it by squeaking a squeaky toy at it, and it's the paws go out each side of the box, but the box is far too wide for a cat to be able to do that. Of any size, and then it sort of waddles off in the most unrealistic CGI I've ever witnessed in my life, except for the previous time, which was in the beginning of the movie with that CGI cockroach.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that whole plot was like, and like, is it meant to be all over one night? The mayor dies, the guy gets kicked out, he starts working in a diner. Lee Evans' character gets kicked out. He goes to the diner. I'm like, is this all meant to be in the same evening? Like, how's that guy already gone? Well, I better start working in a diner. What?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's insane. I mean, yeah. So which of the four sort of major sequences, five really? Which do you think is? So there's the initial one of the two guys. There's the cat one. There's the exterminator one. Then there's the one where they're fighting and they get the mouse with the orange. And then there's the final set piece that's happening at the auction. Which of those sort of set pieces did you sort of work best for you? Because like, I mean, they were all problematic for me in different ways. But which one did you sort of enjoy the most?
Walken's was good. There was a lot of like him destroying the house. And, you know, being thrown down the stairs and stuff. But then I do like Nathan and Lane at the beginning, and Nathan Lane and Lee Evans at the beginning as well. I don't know what the characters' names are. That worked. I remember as a kid being fascinated by, you've forgotten the set piece where Lee Evans' character loses his clothes as a result of the machinery in the factory.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was thinking more directly to do with the mouse. That's one of those weird.
Mouse, yeah.
That's one of those weird outside of the one of those weird scenes. That one, I suppose, that one's okay, but it is what baffles me about that one is I don't really know what the point of it was. Like it's not particularly funny. It doesn't tell us anything in the story. We've already set up the factory, so we don't need to set that up again. Like it's a really inexplicably strange. Sequence of events.
I liked
I
liked the one that the one of them because I did find, and we're yet to hear what the one joke that made you laugh, but I think the one that involves, as ridiculous as it is, the one that involved the explosion and him going out the ceiling and the other one ending up smashing through the cabinet, because it was amusing to me. I did laugh when Nathan Lane's character gets back in and they're both like exasperated and have no energy, and they're explaining what happened to each other in noises.
Yes.
And he's like, did you go up and he's like, oh yeah, and I did find that quite funny.
You know what? I'll give you that. I'd forgotten about that bit. That bit, I think I smirked at that bit too. To be fair.
Yeah. What was your other joke?
My one was when they were first talking to the guy that wanted to buy the LaRue, and he was like, "Oh, it's sort of like collecting stamps, but bigger." And he goes, "I'll get to the point, LaRue." I wrote this down, by the way. I'm not just remembering it that well. He goes, "LaRue, I have his books. I have his letters. You see these shoes? LaRue's? No, but he would have loved them."
Yeah.
That joke, I paused it. I laughed so much at that joke. In the context of that scene, that is really funny.
I quite like that whole character. That character's like vegetable snack. Like it's given like a leaf, like eats it and then just like chucks it on the ground. Like, yeah, his whole character was funny to me.
Yeah, but you're right. Actually, I'd forgotten about the scene where they I suppose the punchline is kind of Warner Brothers-esque to that scene, because obviously he gets shot out of the chimney, and he lands in the river where they'd previously where the jacuzzi he'd bought had ended up, and he floats down to the bottom and lands in the jacuzzi that had already been shut down there. Yeah. That's kind of like. That feels like the gag at the end of an old Warner Brothers cartoon, to be fair.
Yeah, and I didn't mind that, but the bit that really made me laugh was them updating each other on what had happened.
But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, the outcome of that is of course them just having to, like, both just completely disheveled, unable to form words, but still somehow able to, explain to each other, what happened, and in a way that to anyone else would be. No, it wasn't Pablo Escobar. Sorry, it was Fidel Castro, wasn't it? They said. I just realized earlier I said Pablo Escobar, and I meant Fidel Castro. I don't know how.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
That's a weird, bit like you say, it's cartoony, that whole thing. You just you accept logic going, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I think I'm willing to a certain degree to go with that, but I think the issue this movie keeps bumping into is that it doesn't create a cartoony enough world the rest of the time. So when it happens, it feels unrealistic, even though, like, I think in a normal circumstance you just go with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really strange. Like this weird gritty sort of 1970s world they've created, or whatever it is, 1960s. So much of it is like when they're in the factory, and it's just, I don't know, it's all very realistic and down to earth, and their dad's dying, and it's kind of sad, and there's the lucky string, and they have that scene. It's all like it's kind of funny, but in it's like a dialogue based way, or trying to be, I should say, funny. But it's all the jokes coming out of like dialogue or character stuff. And then you just, there's this weird shift, and suddenly it's a cartoon. and I like, yeah, and I don't think they do enough to make that not feel like you just hit a speed bump at 100 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, yeah, definitely not. And there's, the cockroach stuff is a little cartoony, but it's not as bad as it does get. And well, even I mean, to be fair to the movie, the first scene sees their dad's body come out of the of the coffin and somersault down the
You know what?
drain.
You're right. That's actually. I remember thinking when that happened. Okay, we're setting the tone early then. Yeah, that is kind of ridiculous.
And then it sort of
right.
pauses until the mouse turns up. Apart from kind of maybe the cockroach stuff.
Yeah.
What did you? I did like the joke of they kept cutting back to the photo. There's a painting, of their dad. And, like, depending on what's happening, they'll cut back to it and the painting will have a different expression.
Yeah, for the first few times that happened, I wondered if I was misremembering, and I had to go back and check. I was like, is that changing every time? Because, it's like he's either smirking at them or he's, like looks forlorn or whatever. And, like, I was just like, I'm sure he was forlorn last time I saw that painting. That is a clever... A clever idea. It just doesn't belong in this movie. Maybe. I would love to see that in another movie, though. I think it's a really good idea. I just don't know if it belongs here.
I think it fit. I think it fitted because, like, in a movie where one piece of Edam can turn into a factory's worth of string cheese, it's no quirkier than anything else in this movie. In fact, less so. So I think it's fine. I think it was a good element.
Before we get to the cheese factory, the cheese string factory, I've got to ask you that on a point I made earlier. I'm curious your perspective on it because I said to Nadia and she's like, but I don't know if that's is that the thing? I was like, she didn't. I don't know. She didn't really. It's not she didn't agree with me because she doesn't really remember this movie properly, so she hasn't seen it recently. She would not have sat down to watch this with me. But like when I explained to her one of my biggest problems with the movie, she didn't think it sounded like as big of an issue because she was like, wouldn't you just like, isn't that just kind of fine because it's just the point is just to get the slapstick out. But I do genuinely think from a screenwriting perspective, there's a massive no-no here, which is that it is unclear whose side you're supposed to be on, and each scene seems to flip who the protagonist is. And I don't know if that's by design or if that's just bad writing, but there are scenes, like I said earlier, where the mouse is very much the victim, and there are, and they're these two horrible people. And by the way, everyone in this movie is horrible. Everyone in this movie does shitty things to everyone else. I don't know, from a writing perspective, they're all just fucking each other over in really mean-spirited ways. But maybe that's the problem. If everyone's mean-spirited, then who's your protagonist? Maybe that's the issue. But there are scenes where they play the mouse villain, two guys in the house victims, and there are scenes when they flip that round, and it makes the whole thing very confused. Whereas I feel like, again, as I mentioned earlier, in like Home Alone, it's a very clear protagonist-antagonist situation. You know when to cheer, you know when to be scared. Like the moment when they nearly catch, what's his character called in? Kevin McAllister. When they nearly catch Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, there's a scene where you think they've got him. And your heart does sink because you're like, oh shit, this is finally backfired. Whereas here, it's like back and forth, and it's just like, oh, these two groups are just going to keep beating each other around the head until no one wins, I guess. Like until the house is gone. Like that's how it really felt, and that's obviously where it goes. So do you think, from a structural sort of script perspective, that's like, do you think that's intentional, or do you think that's maybe they were trying to do something different, or do you think it's just bad writing? Like, or did you like that? Maybe I'm out of my mind.
I quite liked it, actually. Bizarrely, when you said about it earlier, I was like, actually, I'd level that as a compliment. Like, the idea that you understand both sides, and it's a kids' movie. At the end of it, I was like, oh wow, that was a kids' movie where there wasn't really a villain. Like, I think it would have been better if they'd played more.
Just sorry to interrupt, but you could look at that the other way. It's a kids' movie where everyone's the villain.
Yeah, true. And I kind of at the end, I liked I think it would have been better if they'd have made more of why they become friends and why they were willing to, maybe the mouse was trying to do something good all along, or they just, like you said earlier, they didn't kill him. He's just trying to protect the house or just wants a home or something. I don't know. If they'd have made more of them coming together, I think it would have been even better, because then it's like, oh, like there was no right or wrong. They were just, on two sides because they didn't take the time to get to know each other. What a lovely lesson. But I quite liked, like, when they did the mouse going into bed, because we've met the mouse at this point as well. And we've met the mouse as a bit of a menace. So when they did the mouse going to bed, I was like, oh, they're showing us, that the mouse is just trying to live his life, and they're unknowingly disrupting this.
But
so
do you not?
I didn't mind that.
But do you not?
I was more concerned with I was like, if they're trying to restore it, why is he fucking up that skirting board by punching a hole at every fucking 2 centimeters?
Yeah, well, that too. That will come. I'll come back to that in a second. There's another question I have about that. But I don't know, because I think that hurts it, because you can't tell me, oh, he's just a mouse trying to get by, when he's like locking people in fucking what's the word? The trunks up in the attic. This is, I mean, you do you know what I mean? There's a difference between understanding and then just menacing. Like, he's actually like menacing these people. He's deliberately fucking with them, like in a very sort of, true. And I think the reason it's problematic for me, because I think you've hit on an interesting idea there. You're right. Show both sides, and I've always said the best villains and heroes are a bit of both, because there's an element of you or to a point you understand where they're coming from, even if you don't agree with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you understand where the best villains' desires are, even if you don't agree with their methodology. So you sort of, there's a certain level of understanding. But here, I don't understand why he's being so absurdly savage. If he wants his house back, that's fine, but like, you go about it in a better way. Like, you're a monster. And it's the same with those two. Like, they're literally trying to kill this creature. Like, actually, like, they're trying to shoot him. They're trying to squash him. I mean, like, the satisfaction on their faces when they think they've caught him in that mousetrap the first time is like, kind of cruel. And so I find it muddles it too much. Because they're both going to such extremes, you can't have the thing you're describing from it. I that's how I feel. I think that's the problem. That's why it doesn't quite work. Yeah,
they're trying to have their cake and eat it.
And I think that's bad writing. I mean, 10 points for maybe an interesting idea to start with, but when you actually sat down and wrote your script, you bungled it quite badly. I think, whoever wrote this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I suppose that's the only moment I can think of Lee Evans' character doing something morally wrong, where they think they killed it, or there is a joke where he's like, no, you're going to shoot up the house. Don't shoot. And then the mouse appears and he's like, kill the mouse.
They do put that firmly. To be fair, you've got a point there, actually. They do relatively characterize the two characters whose names I've just looked up, Ernie and Lars. Ernie, who is Nathan Lane's character, is quicker to violence, quicker to cruelty. But they both very, very satisfactorily put the mouse in the box.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And they both make the joke, any holes in the box? No. That mouse will suffocate. I couldn't squish it, but he's going to die of asphyxiation. Like, it's like, what are you two doing? What are you're the wet bandits. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
so you can see why I make the Home Alone comparison.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. But in the Home Alone version, they'd be the villains, not the heroes. But yet the movie portrays them as the protagonists. It's like, it's such a weird thing. It's like, you take that scene out of this movie and show it to someone and go, "What's this movie about?" It's like, "Oh, these two arseholes trying to kill a mouse." Like, well, you show them a scene scenes earlier, and it's like, "Oh, this menace of a mouse. These poor two guys are just trying to restore this house, and this mouse is just like ruining everything. What a dickhead!"
And restore it they do, considering the lack of progress they make over a week. Yes, they're dealing with the mouse. Fucking hell. Get those guys in if you ever want some decorating done. Because what they do to that house in 2 days is unbelievable.
I forgot. I remember noting that in my head, but there's just so much wrong with this movie that fell away. But yeah, that is.
And what's weird
they don't even have multiple shots of them fixing different bits. The only thing they show them doing, like visually, is putting down the plywood over the big hole in the floor and then putting a carpet over that, and it looks really unstable.
I know, and you know what? And that's that. They could have done with just a little bit more. Maybe someone goes to walk up the middle of the stairs and they're like, "Oh no, it's a LaRue. You have to take in the house on the side of the stairs." If they played on the mouse has fucked this house up and they're just trying to sell it for someone to discover that, if they played on that a bit more, then the entire house falling down makes sense. Because if you view it as systematically throughout the movie, they and the mouse have fucked the house, then it collapsing at the end is fine. but they don't do that. They play it as the house fills with water in no time at all, and then it's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, it's like
A house that was covered with sewage a couple of days earlier.
Yeah, it's very, very weird how they do it. I mean, again though, it's funny because like, yeah, all right, that isn't great. Like that's not great writing to have it fixed that quick. But at the same time, there is a part of me that's just sort of like I am willing to suspend my disbelief a certain amount. Do you know what I mean? Like it is, but you have to earn that, I think, and I don't think they do here, which is why it stands out. Because just saying that to me, oh, there's a quick montage, you see them fixing the floor, and then it's fixed. It's like in many other movies, you wouldn't even think twice about that. But because they're weirdly going between this very realistic world and this very, very bizarrely not at all realistic world, it's so jarring when things like that happen. Because again, it's like hitting a speed bump, but not smoothly and slowly, but at like 100 miles an hour. So you really feel it,
like a chair collapsing underneath you, Dan. Can I just?
Wait, when the chair collapsed, did you check the bottom of the chair and did the bit of it that broke have like nibble marks on it by any chance?
Mate, it felt like, because we were talking about Christopher Walken at the time, and I was like, oh god, like Christopher Walken's punishing me. No, I'm looking at it and I can't. Hold on, let me turn on the light.
What happened? Go on, let's give us an update. Is your butt okay? I mean, that's a weird question to ask, but I feel like I should.
It's my back that hurts more than anything. I think I didn't say that in the mic. It's my back that hurts more than anything. See,
back not
so
butt.
basically,
no.
It's a chair where there's a plastic seat, and then there's like metal bars, and it's a foldable chair.
Right.
And looking at it, because you know that's not a good moment for anyone,
mate. We've all it's happened to all of us. I don't think there's a person on this planet that hasn't had a chair break when they've sat on it. That's just destiny at some point.
But I think I know what it is, because I will often at the end of phone calls, like with yourself, with podcast calls, I will like lean back on the chair and looking at it. I don't think it's a weight thing. Basically, where I've leaned on it and put pressure, like leant back on it and put pressure on it, the seat and the metal has moved and basically come unclipped. And yeah.
Oh wait, so you think it can go back together? It's not snapped, it just needs to be clicked back together.
Oh, literally nothing has snapped. Yeah, I could potentially put it back together. Yeah, if I just put this in here and this. Oh, wait.
And you're welcome back to Assembling Chairs with Chris and Dan.
Hold on.
New podcast. Little sample.
There you go. Yeah, it's back together.
There you go. So the chair isn't broken, everyone. Relief.
The bad thing about that is I'll forget and sit on it again.
Yeah, you'll do the same thing. But the thing is, though, Chris, you do have, forgive me for pointing this out, but you do sometimes have like sort of little paranoias about small things. And I feel like I don't think you'll use that chair again, because I think you'll be too worried about it happening again.
Yeah, like looking back, it's the stress on leaning back and stuff.
Now, and even though now you know logically that's unlikely to happen again unless you do the same thing, you're still probably not going to use that chair again. You won't trust it now.
Oh yeah, well I'll send you a picture, because the stress is like it's like one side of it has come out. But yeah.
Anyway, back to the
not
movie.
Great. But nothing's bent or snapped. So it's just basically. So I'm just trying to say people. I know I'm big, but I'm not snap a metal bar on a chair big. I'm just make a metal bar pop out of its hinges on a chair big.
Should we start like rating these movies? Is ratings a bad thing? Because the problem with the internet is like, and they point this out a lot on the Weekly Planet. There's no room for subtlety on the internet, so they've developed a system of best movie ever, worst movie ever, and there's no in between. They're not allowed to give anything in between. It's either got to be the best movie ever or the worst movie ever, and they find that really difficult to do. But like,
I think the rating should be: should you watch this as an adult?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, fair. So very quickly, retroactively, Space Jam, probably not.
No. Definitely not.
No. Short Circuit, I still had a lot of fun with it, but I've got to acknowledge that's through nostalgia goggles, so I don't know. I would say yes, because I still found that funny, but again, I'm acknowledging that's very biased. What did you think? What would you say with Short Circuit?
I'd say no, because I don't know what you get from it that you don't get better through other films. This thing is alive, Wally. I mean, God, do you know what I mean? This thing that shouldn't be alive but is, and what it means to be human and what it means to be a robot, I think you could get from other avenues, and the cultural stuff and the weirdness. I'd say no for Short Circuit, but certainly closer than Space Jam.
Sure. And then where are we at on?
I mean, unfortunately, no. I got a kick out of it, but unless you like cartoons, no, probably not.
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise that I'm a no on that too. It's a shame though, because I think I feel like because I do feel like there was potentially there were a few good ideas somewhere in here at some point or another. I just don't feel like they got to explore them properly, and I feel like the script is too muddled for its own good. It's a shame that it wasn't in a more capable screenwriter's hands, because I feel like a lot of the ideas, as silly as they sound, in the hands of a John Hughes, because he did do Home Alone. Because now I'm just leaning into that, even though I got all offended. Because I think you know what it was that was offending me. I understand comparing the premises, but comparing them for quality, I think, is a.
I think it's the visuals of cartoon violence and people's hair being on fire and faces being burnt and it not mattering because it's cartoon violence, and people tripping and all of that stuff. It was more visually and tonally, whether it has the nuance or not. That was my comparison. And essentially a movie that becomes a series of disasters and cartoon violence, because Home Alone, you can't level the same. It's 20 minutes till the mouse appears.
I was just about to say that,
because I was almost about to go, it's fucking 50 minutes until that starts happening. But then again, the film isn't called Catch a Criminal with Traps. The film is called Home Alone. So that is the difference.
I reckon he's home alone before the 20-minute mark, and therefore the first sort of part of the film is like the jokes of he's at home alone. What would a kid do on their own? Well, they'd sled down the stairs. They'd try to jump on the bed and sing. They'd all the weird shit he does in the first sort of 30-40 minutes of that movie before any of the traps and stuff happens. Although I do distinctly remember as a kid always hating that my sister would, I wasn't kidding earlier when I said that some kids would probably skip to the good bit of this, because I remember my sister insisting that we skip to the good bit of Home Alone, which used to drive me up the wall, because I loved that movie and I did not just want to watch the
remember
last
watching
30-40 minutes.
I remember watching it for the first time. We had family round, and we sat for some reason. We never did this, but we kind of ended up watching it. And I just remember thinking, because I hadn't seen the film at that point, and I just remember thinking, I swear this film is meant to be about pranks and stuff. When are they coming? That's a result of knowing that before watching it.
Yeah.
And you could easily watch this going, where's the mouse?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is with this though. Okay, so here's the question. Actually, maybe we framed this slightly wrong, because if the question is should you watch it now as an adult, I mean, no. But should you show them to your kids now? Space Jam and this probably would still maybe work for kids. I mean, I wouldn't recommend Short Circuit, because Short Circuit is by far the most problematic thing we've seen on this journey. So I would maybe shield some children from some of the depictions.
What's interesting though is but not necessarily because of the blacking up thing, as horrendous as that is. It's more the things that is said to the character. Because a child, as many people didn't, and I didn't, and I watched it as a 30-year-old man. Your child wouldn't notice or wouldn't know that the character was blacked up. They wouldn't necessarily think that was the right thing to do as a result of this movie. But what they might think is that you can.
That's in reference to so just to clarify for anyone who's jumped in on this episode, you're referring to Short Circuit there, right?
Sorry, yeah. Did I say Space Jam? Sorry, short.
You said this movie, which I wasn't sure which one. I knew based on the context, but in case anybody missed the last episode where we talked about Short Circuit and the character wearing unfortunate brown face makeup, just to clarify.
Well, it was following on from your point about Short Circuit being problematic.
Yes,
I think that so it's not the blacking up, because obviously kids need to fucking know you can't do that, but they wouldn't necessarily know that's what was happening. It's the horrendous stuff that is said to the character that would put me off showing it to a child.
Yeah.
And there's an element of that with the hand down the top thing here, and I suppose it depends on your opinion on violence and kids. But at the right age, there'd be no difference between showing them this and some other films with cartoon violence.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one next week, because that question won't be relevant next week because of the film I've chosen, but we'll come back to that in a sec. Okay. Overall thoughts then, so for you, would you ever likely to watch this again?
Probably not, but I mean, the second you spend an hour analysing something, that ship sort of sails. But
yeah, that is true.
It was definitely one. Even recently, even before we did this, I thought, I remember Mouse Hunt. I'll rewatch Mouse Hunt one day. So this was a lovely excuse to. I don't regret it. I wouldn't have. Yeah, I'm unlikely to watch it again.
That's fair. I've got a little bit of trivia to get through, not too much, but I've got some stuff. You don't want to hit that? So there was actually a rare commercial spot for this film not included in the VHS or DVD releases, presumably to avoid potentially being sued, but there was a video that they put on TV for a little bit where the narrator says, "A story about a mouse," and you see the shadowy outline of a very famous Disney character. The camera then quickly cuts to the actual mouse from Mouse Hunt holding a pair of toothpicks with olives on each end to create the ears in the shadow. They haven't aired that since, and they haven't put it on any of the other material. So that's quite funny that they
There was another funny joke where at the end he says, you can be our mascot. You can be the face of this company. I know another company that's done very well out of having a mouse as a mascot.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah. There's a gag about that. So the mousetrap scene was done with 800 actual mousetraps, and it was not done with digital effects at all. It was 800 actual mousetraps set individually and rigged with wires under the floor. It did take several takes, and each time the traps had to be reset and baited individually, one at a time.
What the fuck? What? So Nathan Lane and Lee Evans actually hurt themselves? What?
No. So the traps were set. Those traps, once they snap, they can't hurt you, so they're just flicking through the air. Yeah. So they were being set off by wires that were from under the ground.
Oh, wow.
Drilled up through the mousetrap itself into the mechanism, so they could, from underneath, make them go off whenever they wanted. And once it's snapped, it does jump up, but that's just being lightly battered by a bit of wood. So what they would have done is put a few prank ones on them, like set dressing, and then had them roll around while the other ones snapped around them. That's how they would have achieved the effect. Right, they might have even had stunt actors do that just in case one of them bumped into them and where it shouldn't or whatever.
Yeah.
But what was more impressive is that there were no digital effects at all. That was actually 800 mousetraps.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Every time they wanted to do a new take, they had to reset every single one of them. That's incredible.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's impressive, to be fair. Both the voice talents of Timon and Pumbaa from The Lion King 1994 appear in this movie. Of course, Nathan Lane voiced Timon, and Murray who is the voice of Pumbaa, is the pound owner.
Oh, cool.
And there's a second reference to The Lion King when Nathan Lane's character greets the Sheik character with Hakuna Matata, which is obviously famously from Lion King.
Yeah, nice.
There you go. Apparently, in a couple of the scenes where there was a close-up of the mouse in the walls, they used a rat as a body double. Now, there were one or two shots I thought, that tail looks wrong, and apparently I wasn't insane. I was like, the tail looks too big for it to be a mouse. That's presumably when they used the rat, which not famously, but like in terms of their anatomy, have larger tails. This one's a really interesting one, and I'll go through this as quickly as possible. Actor William Hickey, who plays their dad in this, was actually seriously ill during the production and died, sadly, towards the end of the film. That's why it's dedicated to him. Fortunately, all his scenes had already been filmed, so it wasn't necessary to recast his part or make any major changes to the script. But there is a weird irony to it, which is in reality what he was dying of was emphysema, and his character dies in Mouse Hunt, leaves a box of smoked cigars to his sons, which is obviously, I mean, presumably, if you had emphysema, related.
Yeah.
And then, weirdly, in his character so that actor was also in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and his character in that, Uncle Lewis, constantly smoked cigars. So there's this weird through line of cigar smoking, and unfortunately, he passed away. He's very good in this. I like him a lot in this movie. It's sad that he died. Obviously, it's nice that they did. The first thing that comes up when the movie ends is the credit, is the nod to him. Based on the quarter that Ernie and Lars flip, the movie is roughly set in around 1972, despite having other stylings ranging from the 1940s through the 1990s. So there's a few anachronistic bits.
I did spot that as an adult. I was watching it going, when the fuck is this set?
It's a weird movie. It's got that weird sort of Batman 89 thing, where there are elements of it that are completely modern day, and then they're using cars from the 50s, and it's like, wait, what? I 100% found that really odd on the rewatch, and I definitely wouldn't have noticed that in the as a kid, for sure.
No, as a kid, I thought it was set in modern day,
Yeah, except it's so obviously not. People are going around in hats, and they're on a string factory, and it's strings going away. Chris, it's getting replaced with, what did he say it was getting replaced? I can't remember now. I watched the movie yesterday. I don't remember. Whatever the modern replacement for string is. So
weird.
Yeah, I mean it works fine, but it's just an odd choice.
Yeah, no, it does work fine. As a kid, I just thought it was a stylistic thing, but
yeah. And then finally, I've got some alternative castings. These are mental. Some of these make perfect sense. Some of these are insane. So bear with me, right? So for Lars Smuntz, which is Lee Evans' character, I'm going to read you the names that were considered. Harry Enfield, makes sense. Griff Rhys-Jones, makes sense. Christopher Reeves, yeah, okay. Bill Duke, Michael Nouri, Kevin Pollock, and Dudley Moore. That one's weird, but those are mostly like, you can kind of see it with most of those. This is where it gets nuts.
Yeah,
Nathan Lane.
It's Dudley Moore, but it's Dudley Moore where I'm like, oh, because he'd have been quite old, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Dudley Moore in the 90s would have been. Yeah, absolutely. But maybe if they'd have gone with Dudley Moore, they'd have gone older on the other the other character, which it makes sense actually, because let me read you the names for Nathan Lane's character, Ernie Smuntz. John Leguizamo, Mel Gibson, Tom Baker, Martin Clunes. Michael Richards, Matthew McConaughey, and one of the strangest casting things I've ever read in my life, to the point where I'm convinced this must be a lie, but Snoop Dogg. Not kidding you, that is in the trivia, and I tried to verify it. I found several references to it, but I don't know if this is like the snake eating its own tail, where someone's put it somewhere and everyone's believed it and it's gone in a big circle. I could not find anything verifiable that said Snoop Dogg was considered for the role of Ernie Smuntz, but there it is.
It is worth saying, because we've complimented their performances, but and I think this was pre the producers, wasn't it? Which
Correct.
Obviously they did on Broadway together, but their chemistry is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great. It is really good. I like both of them in this movie. I think it's one of the first things I complimented, which is the performances, and I think they are both good in it. So the last piece of trivia is just the other alternate castings for April Smuntz, which is the wife of Lee Evans' character, and these are just like totally sensible people you'd consider casting in that role in this era. Heather Locklear, Holly Hunter, Stockard Channing, and Jennifer Aniston.
Ooh,
all
interesting.
Very suitable, like, people that would have fit that role, I think, reasonably well. There isn't a Snoop Dogg hiding in that one.
That's interesting, though, because 97, let's assume it was made in 96.
Yes.
That's season 3 of Friends. So,
yes,
that's peak Friends.
My assumption is because it's only a small role. She's only got like 3 scenes fourth major.
No,
scenes.
but it would have been. I think it would have been quite a small part for her to have, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that's why it didn't happen. I don't know. Yeah. But I mean,
enough.
Holly Hunter, Heather Locklear, Stocker Channing. I mean, Holly Hunter. What has she been doing around that point in time? I don't remember that. I can't remember. But yeah, there you go. Some alternate castings.
There we go. Cool.
Any final thoughts?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think nostalgia had a part in my enjoyment. I don't regret at all rewatching it. I think it was a fun one.
Yeah, I'd actually weirdly echo that. I don't begrudge having rewatched it because I was curious. Like when you said it last week, you were like, "Oh, it's gonna be nice." I'm like, you know what? Bring it on. Let's find out because I was curious how it would hold up. When I thought about it, I realized how little of it I remembered. So there was an element of, okay, let's whirl this one around and see how it runs.
Where Dan are we going next week?
See now, we've got to make a deal with me on this one, Chris, that you don't look up anything about this movie because I don't think you'll have even heard of this one.
Okay.
Because that's how I experienced it. So a very small, brief introduction to this one is I saw this movie by accident. I taped something else, and it's definitely not a kids movie either. It's just a general movie, a comedy aimed at adults. It's a Bill Murray movie. I don't know exactly what year it's from, but basically I was taping something else that I wanted to watch, and then it just kept recording. And then I watched that, didn't get off my butt to change the tape, and the next thing came on. It's from 1990. It's a Bill Murray movie called Quick Change.
Okay.
I don't know what it was like rated in the cinemas or whatever. I don't remember if it's got anything inappropriate for children in it because it was certificate 15, so I definitely watched that too young. Because I will have seen that at the age of about 8 or 9 for sure.
Were you able to watch it all? The tape recorded everything?
Mate, long play.
Oh, wow.
Long play.
I got that, baby.
So and I then just fell in love with this movie. I got so sucked in because it starts and I'm like, I'm going to turn this off in a minute. I don't know what this is. I don't care. But it's such a good film. Or I remember thinking that. And I watched this movie so many times. And I'm wondering how much of that is the excitement of, I'm watching a film not aimed at children. This is a grown-up film that I found, or maybe it was just because Bill Murray did do films aimed with more at children, like Ghostbusters. Maybe I just was like, well, this is a kids' film. It's got Bill Murray in it. I don't know, but I am fascinated to see what you're going to think to this. And the way I discovered it was I just got pulled into the plot, and I want to see if that is still true. And you're a great guinea pig because you don't know anything about the plot. You don't know what it's about. You don't know what it. All you know is Bill Murray's in it. So cool. I am going to. I will supply you a copy. I've got this on DVD. Would you believe?
Okay.
And I am very excited to find out if you'll enjoy this. And obviously comments down below if you have seen the movie. Did you enjoy it? Both for Mouse Hunt and Quick Change. Feel free to throw some Quick Change stuff down there, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm so excited to show you that movie.
We unfortunately won't be able to refer to your comments because for our own sanity, we are recording these ahead of time.
Sure,
but yeah,
Well, I'll try and reply in the comments on these ones. So if you want,
yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Sorry, I meant like if you tell a quick change story, we won't necessarily be able to bring it up in the podcast.
Yeah, unless we do a section. If we get loads of stuff, if people start giving us loads of great stories about when they watch these movies as kids, maybe we'll do a small section at the end of each episode where we go back to a previous episode and read people's feedback from it or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'd love to hear your thoughts on Mouse Hunt. So if you've seen it, if you've got a comment below.
Yeah, did you know who Lee Evans was?
Yeah, what's your experience with Lee Evans? Because Lee Evans meant a lot to me as a kid, and still does. Like he is an absolute hero.
And extremely famous in the UK.
Weird and wonderful.
Yeah,
And the first like arena comedians are so common now. You kind of don't they're more. I think in the UK still you have to be really going some as a band to play an arena. As a comedian, you don't necessarily. It's not like you need to be on TV all the time to be able to do arenas. Yeah. And that's not to put anyone doing it down. It's a phenomenal achievement. But it's arena comedy has become a very different beast to what it was at the time. And the fact that Lee Evans was the first one to do it, and he probably
I think he did it before anyone in the States, though. Like, who was the first American comedian to do like Madison Square Garden? Maybe Seinfeld.
Was it Bill Hicks? Maybe.
Did Bill Hicks do Arenas?
I might be wrong. It's someone. Robert Newman, maybe. No, he's British, isn't he?
Yeah.
There was a guy with an accent and would do like quite aggressive comedy.
Oh, I think I know who you're referring to. I can't remember. I'm trying to. Now, all I'm getting when I try to look it up is just information on arena comedy. So it's telling me that I can go see Michael McIntyre if I want.
Do you know the guy I mean? Like, I've seen clips of him, and it's like he's like. So, and to be fair, I think maybe Steve Martin might have done.
Do you think Steve Martin did arenas?
Maybe.
Because I think for a while it was like comedians avoided it.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. If your view of like arena comedy is, it's just a guy stood there, you're better off seeing it in a theatre. Lee Evans, whatever you think of the jokes, absolutely justifies his comedy being in an arena. It is so big and animated, and the physicality of it is incredible. And he more than anyone suits that stage. More than anyone. McIntyre's quite good, I think, for filling the stage and being quite broad. But Evans, more than anyone, any other comedian, has justified doing it in arenas.
Yeah. It looks like Steve Martin quit stand-up comedy in 1981.
Oh, wow.
And didn't go back to it until he opened for Seinfeld in 2016.
Jesus. What, and did he do arenas, didn't he? Who's that guy? Who am I thinking of?
Doesn't look like he did, but it's hard for me to tell because I don't know.
I'm pretty sure David Baddiel and Robert Newman did arenas in the UK before Evans.
There you go.
But anyway.
So yeah, thanks very much for listening, everyone. Come back next time as we discuss the Bill Murray movie from 1990, Quick Change. It's exciting times, Chris. I'm on board. I'm really enjoying doing these. This has been a real fun.
Yeah, they're great fun.
And every couple of days, I remember another movie I want to do at some point. And my list are you adding to your list as we go?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I've got a list that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 14 movies currently sat on a list of potential episodes for this. Because every time I'm thinking about different movies from my past, I'm like, I want to show Chris that, or I don't think Chris has seen that, or Chris has seen that, and I'd love to talk about it with him. I'm flicking through them. So yeah, I gave one away the other week because I asked you if you'd seen it because I was curious.
I might next time pick one I know I'm going to enjoy, although I'm kind of tempted to pick one where I might not. But I might pick one that because all three of them for me have been like this was nostalgia, but it wasn't like, oh, cool, I get to sit down and watch Back to the Future. Do you know what I mean? So
right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we haven't really done that yet.
Or I might just pick The Nutty Professor because who remembers that? Was it good? Was it shit? Who knows?
Oh, I bet it was shit.
Yeah, probably.
If I was a betting man, I don't reckon that holds up. But that's a good one to add to the list because I enjoyed that movie a lot as a kid. But I even remember as a kid hating the sequel though. So that's not.
Yeah, I do, and I remember I had that on video.
Yeah. The first one's great.
Cool. Right.
Well,
anyway,
thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you in a week's time for either more of this or Steven University, or whatever the hell we're putting out on the channel at the moment. You can obviously subscribe, all that jazz. If you've got us on iTunes, leave a review. Patreon. You can get these episodes early in audio form. They won't have the full video, but the videos probably aren't going to be much. I think the video is probably just going to be the logo because I don't have the time to make a full video that animates or whatever. So I would say that if you want to get these early in audio form, you can go to the Patreon page and just give as little as $1 a month, and that will allow you to hear this stuff early. And as well, it's like we're like drug deals. We'll get you hooked. Once you've got one early, if you want to go off it, then you're gonna have to listen to the next one like 2 weeks later. You're sort of fucked then because you're out of sync.
Who wants that, Dan?
Yeah. So that's we're like really shit drug dealers.
I reckon with a hammer I could bash in this chair and fix it.
Yeah, but would you trust it again? Will you ever trust that chair again?
If I can get the lip back round, maybe.
I don't think you'll ever sit in it again, even if you fix it, because you won't trust that it's fixed.
Yeah.
I think you could get a professional in there to completely weld that chair back together in a way that is absolutely, completely, undeniably fixed, and you'd still maybe be wary about sitting on it. Did he definitely do it right? I don't know. He looks a bit dodgy. Like, you'd find an excuse to not sit in it again. The chair has broken your trust, Chris. You're a hard man to win back round.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. I've been Chris Billingham.
I've been Dan Doolan.
And this review has been Rewind.